Welcome back to Who's Next on the X. Joined with me today is Jackson Phelps. Jackson, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Wiley. How are you?
I'm doing really good. We're going to jump right in. Who is Jackson Phelps?
Well, what's up, guys? I'm Jackson Phelps. I'm a freshman here at Northwest. First thing about me is I love sports. I've loved sports ever since I was a kid. I was born right into it. My first steps were chasing a baseball, so I was always a big guy on sports. So from birth, love sports.
You know, you said you love sports. Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite sports?
Yeah. Growing up, I always played baseball. I loved baseball as a kid, the Royals. I would say my childhood was centered a lot around baseball. So if that was playing, watching video games. But later on, I started watching football with my dad and the Chiefs. We weren't really good. You know, it was the Matt Castle era, so it wasn't the best of times for the Chiefs. But I loved watching football with my dad, and then it grew into me growing my own football love. So, and then basketball. I would say middle school is when I started to fall in love with basketball. If that was March Madness, it's my favorite tournament ever. I loved watching that. And then kind of trickled into the NBA. I watched a little bit of the NBA when like Kobe and the Tim Duncan era. Like I loved 2010s basketball, but so yeah, those are like my favorite sports for sure.
You discussed your love for sports. What made you want to pursue sports broadcasting or being in sports radio? Was it sports specifically, or was there something more in depth on it?
Definitely. As a kid, I always made a promise to myself if I can't go play sports for the rest of my life, I wanted to work in it. So keeping that promise, I started working my tail off to get involved in my high school sports broadcasting program, sports marketing. And then the minute I stepped in the sports broadcasting area, I fell in love with it, going to the games and getting on the mic. I noticed that I had a good talent with being an on-air persona. So and people around me also told me that, hey, you have a future with this. And noticing that, I was like, maybe I should, work on my craft more and, meet some cool people to do that. So I've always loved doing that, playing Madden or watching sports. I'd always be like, here's at the 20, the 15, 10, 5, touchdown. So it's like always as a kid, I did that. And then realizing I can actually be in a school now and my past learning, I could actually do it was huge for me.
So when you were in high school, you were involved with broadcasting and
yes,
and doing broadcasting. What was that like?
Broadcasting, yeah. So I went to Staley High School, North Kansas City. So they had a great sports program called N2 Sports, and I got involved with that my freshman year. And that was just going to all the football games, basketball games, baseball, and just live play-by-play for the YouTube. We did YouTube streams, but just getting great practice with that and meeting great people just allowed me to work on my craft throughout high school to start early, which was super cool.
So Jackson, you're in KZLX.
Yeah.
What do you do in KZLX?
So right off the bat, I got to meet Craig, and meeting you and meeting, guys like my friend Dom and Keaton, this assistant sports director. I immediately talked to them like, what are ways a freshman can get involved with stuff? So I joined the radio practicum class. I'm a shadow right now, but just getting to learn from, the people who have done it, for a couple of years ahead of you. It's been really helpful. Ways that are kind of like that. I'm on the weekly sports kickoff with you and Craig, and that is like one of the coolest things is to be able, because I love talking about sports. I could talk about sports like for hours. So being able to do that every single week, talking about NFL, college football, all those things, it's super cool.
Not only have you been a part of Weekend Sports Kickoff, you've also have done some broadcasts as well.
Yep.
You want to talk a little bit more on that?
Of course, yeah. So getting the opportunity to do broadcasts my freshman year has been an awesome experience. I've done soccer, volleyball, and the high school games for the Maryville Spoofhounds for football. And honestly, just getting those experiences is the reason I came here over like Mizzou, because I got it to jump in like right away. And just getting that hands-on experience with the equipment and just getting to, work on my craft, like I said, in the other one. This has just been such a blessing and such a great help for the path of my career. So,
you've been a part of it for 3 months now.
Mm-hmm.
What have been some of the most memorable moments you've had with KZLX, and what are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, some of the most memorable moments, I would say the week 1 football. game against, it was Emporia State. Yeah, I didn't get to call anything, but just getting to be up in the booth and getting to shadow the guys who are doing it was such a great experience. Getting to learn behind them was awesome. But then getting to call my very first high school football game and just getting to be back in the booth and behind the mic, it was such a cool experience. And they're actually good. Like, the Maryville high school football team is actually good. So getting to broadcast a team that's good at football and just getting to, be back in the place that I love this year. And I continue to look forward to that too. So
yeah, not only is broadcasting fun, but it's even better when you have a team who's really successful and can really go places like the Spoof Hounds.
Right, and also like the Northwest basketball team being number one in the coaches poll already, and getting the opportunity to broadcast them this upcoming next semester. Super fun. I'm really looking forward to that as well.
So Jackson, your prior experience here to Northwest Missouri State and KZLX, you had a podcast. What is that called, and what do you do in it?
Yeah, so back in quarantine, me and my buddy in my sports broadcasting class, we were sitting there around the pandemic, and we were on a phone call, and we said, what if, instead of sitting here and playing Fortnite all day, we actually, take this time to reach out to some of the guys we look up to in life and see if we want to have them on a podcast and just talk about, how you got to where you got to and what steps did you take, just so we could get a chance to, get to talk to some of those people we looked up to, but also the people that we're friends with and the people who like the structure of our show, and to just see, what they had to say. So we called it The Lookup, and it was generalized talking to people who we looked up to. And, my first person that I ever talked to was Seren Petro, and he is one of the people who runs a show at 810 Sports Radio, someone that I looked up to for a long time. Me and my dad, we always listened to 810 Sports Radio in the car before, going to church or just going to somewhere that we were going. 810 was always on, so I knew, let's ask Seren Petro if we can have him on the show. It was a long shot, but we reached out to him, and luckily enough, he emailed us back and said, yeah, let's do it. So getting to have him as an interview guest was amazing, and we did that for many other people in the sports radio, sports newspaper, guys who worked for the Chiefs, we had a bunch of other guys on there, just like random people with different kind of areas, mostly generalized around sports, because that's what we were wanting to go into. And we did it through Spotify, Apple Music. We also did a YouTube one, so because we did it through Zoom because of quarantine, of course, we couldn't meet live in person. So we kind of had our own little graphic for everything in our faces in the corners and stuff, talking to them. It was such a cool experience to do that. So
some people from The Athletic who've wrote, broadcasted, did they give you any important information that you took away from that you find valuable today?
Big time. The number one thing was connections. In the sports business, connections are key. And they said if you can get your foot in the door to anything, try. Connect with everyone you meet in the sports area, because you never know when they'll come up next. Like, I connected with Seren Petro there. And then 3 years down the line, I asked him if an internship was possible with my professional development program. And he said, heck yeah, I jump on board. So connections and just getting the foot in the door, and always staying prepared. If you come in prepared, you will knock out everyone else in there who isn't as prepared as you.
It's just kind of weird that how things work out. It's just, TV's a small world. You guys will know this when you're big timers, when you get into it. TV's a small world. People from all over the place.
Always prepare. So connections, preparation, and just love what you're doing too. You're here for a reason. So just love what you're doing, work hard, and you'll go places.
So Jackson, we've talked a lot about broadcasters and podcasters. What are 3 broadcasters or people within this field that really have inspired you or that you look up to?
Yeah, definitely. For one, as a kid, it was always Kirk Herbstreit. Something about him and how he gets to go and do college game day on Saturday and call a game after that, then fly all the way out to wherever Thursday Night Football is for Prime Video, and just do that the whole entire week. Doing that made me realize, wait, that'd be so fun to be able to travel and go around the USA and call, football or whatever sport he's calling. So that he was a big part of me wanting to do sports broadcasting, along with Gus Johnson. We all love him, being sports broadcasters. We love Gus Johnson. So his energy and how hype he is on the plays really just inspired me. I can love what I do, but also I can have fun with it. So doing football games, I have implemented a little bit of just energetic calls, just to make it a little bit more fun and different. And Gus Johnson definitely inspired me to kind of be, you know, a little bit more, you know, extra energy and just, you know, really show my love for what I'm doing and just bring that extra little oomph to the play. So, thirdly, yeah, oh man, let's see. Third, I'm going to go Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, you know, he's kind of been on the up and up recently with being on College Game Day now, but that was a big inspiration too, seeing where he has come from, you know, being from just YouTube, a Pat McAfee show with him and AJ Hawk, and having someone to talk to every single episode. But he's so funny, and the way he talks about sports is so different, but I love it because he's just such a cool guy, ex-NFL punter, NFL dog, let me be honest, you know, laying out these guys on tackles, just not really caring what he's doing out there. So he's such an awesome guy who works in the field, you know, and seeing where he came from just going from a YouTube talk show like my podcast was. You know, my podcast started out as a YouTube podcast, so if I was to go into that field as well, seeing how he made it all the way up to being on College Game Day, like my favorite show of the week. I always wake up every single Saturday at 9 a.m. to watch that show, you know, and see Lee Corso put the mascot head on. Such a great way to start off a good college football morning, and seeing Pat McAfee on there is really cool because I love the way he takes his sports talk and just love the guy he is. He's such a funny and outgoing guy. He's really personable too. I want to get the chance to meet him, Kirk Herbstreit, and Gus Johnson one day. Those are three guys who have definitely inspired me to be at the place I am right now. Yeah,
you even hit the nail on the head saying all three guys just having fun. You talked about Kirk Herbstreit traveling around the country week in, week out. Talked about Gus Johnson and some of his calls, and then Pat McAfee just being Pat. Yeah. And, you know, that's the best thing to do if you want to go into this field or any other field. Right. It's just to have fun with what you're doing.
It's the reason you do it.
Jackson, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Wiley, for having me.
We'll see you next week on Who's Next on the X.